Welcome to Night Callers Bigfoot Radio, where I interview researchers and experiencers of the unknown. This is a live show, so I invite you to join in the discussion by typing all your questions in caps and putting them in the chat. And I promise I'll do my best to get to them. Keep it clean, keep it kind, and show some love with a like and subscribe. Let's go. Just a second. Hi, fellas. Welcome to Night Callers Bigfoot Radio. We have Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations here, and we have 3 of the 5. We have Brian, Jeff, and Coleman here tonight. How are you guys doing tonight?
Awesome possum.
Great.
And then Jeff.
Come on, Coleman.
He likes to put himself on.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like a baby boomer right now. Yeah, we're good. I'm doing good.
Easy.
Sorry.
Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm so excited.
I'm going millennial.
Now, I thought baby boomers were somebody that was born at like 1947 or something like that.
Yeah, it's still close to home, though. No. I am not a baby boomer. What am I? I'm Gen X. Remember, we're the generation that was going to destroy the United States.
I feel like every generation has had a shot at that. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. All right. So you guys started a few years ago and, well, I mean, more than a few, but you guys started in 2016 from a Facebook page designed to be a place where people of Northwest Oklahoma could share their cryptid encounters. However, it quickly expanded to include cryptid sightings from across Oklahoma and I'm guessing surrounding states. So tell me about that. How'd that experience go?
Well, it was kind of comical, and my initial response to all this was there needed to be some kind of outlet for people in my area to reach out and contact people and get in touch with people that knew, and but it quickly expanded, and it's kind of comical in a way because I feel like I'm more in connection with the people in southeastern and northeastern Oklahoma than even in my own area, Northwest Oklahoma. It's kind of funny, but my original plan was not to network a whole lot, to try to stay out of the Bigfoot community, because my first initial interaction with the Bigfoot community was not a positive one. But it took me a while, but I figured out that there are some nice people in the Bigfoot community. You just, it's kind of like walking around in the backyard when you got dogs. You kind of got to watch where you step, So.
Oh my God. Brian, so what I've learned, I've been friends with Brian for almost a year. Oh no, over a year now. And what I've learned about Brian is that he frequently says things that need to go on t-shirts. Like I just have a notebook with Brianisms at this point. That's another good one. I'm going to have to write that down. So how did you get into the topic, Brian?
I had a couple of experiences and I didn't really know about it. And my brother Jimmy was listening to podcasts. I had not even discovered podcasts yet. And he sent me this podcast to Sasquatch Chronicles. And that's when I started realizing that some of the stuff that I'd experienced was some of what they were talking about. And, it kind of started out as, let's tune in and let's hear the crazy people talk. But after a while, I started realizing that, these people they really saw something. They were scared. And so I started kind of digging in and when they started talking about the Dogman thing, I realized that, ooh, that's deep. Yeah, I'm, what is it? I'm poultry in motion. But anyway, I realized that I had actually, had some encounters with some of these creatures and bam, I just kind of decided that it was ridiculous and that nobody in Northwest Oklahoma was doing anything. And so I decided to, just do something. And the YouTube channel kind of started out as I had a cheap phone at the time and I didn't have very much storage space. And one of my friends said something about, you can store your videos and stuff like that for free on YouTube. And so it started out as a storage space for my evidence videos, and bam, I started sharing them. People were like, "Oh, let me see this." I'm like, "Well, I might as well make this stuff public," And so I kind of learned as I went. If you watch some of the early videos from years ago, you will find out that I've learned a lot since then. So they're pretty crude.
I think all of us are like that. I mean, if you watch any early anything, it's going to be kind of rough. It's going to be rough.
My buddy Jeff.
Jeff. My name's Jeff.
I know a lot of Jeffs. So
there's a lot of Jeffs in this community. So
they're pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And most of them you don't have to watch where you step. Yeah.
That's
so
right.
Just throw that out there. All right. So moving to Coleman, how did you get involved in this community or in this topic? Not the community, the topic.
For me, first off, can everyone hear me this time before I start
can hear
talking? Okay, cool deal. For me, I've kind of been interested in it since I was a little kid. I would watch like Finding Bigfoot and stuff like that on TV and all that, and just always thought it was interesting. And then me and my friends years ago started doing our own YouTube channel where we kind of talked about cryptids or paranormal stuff or whatever. And we had always talked about since we were young, like high school, wanting to do a Bigfoot documentary. And so we made one. And then that was kind of my launch into everything. And then I met Brian shortly after that and started investigating with him and Jeff and Eric and Scotty and everybody. So that's kind of how I got into all this.
Okay. That's a pretty interesting beginning, I have to say. Usually it starts with a sighting or an experience, or somebody saw the Patty film or Legend of Boggy Creek. And that's like, there's just this top 5 list of how people get started. So that is not one of the norms. Very cool. Very cool. All right, Jeff, how did you get started in this?
Oh boy. Well, like you said, the staple ones like Boggy Creek and In Search of Leonard Nimoy when you're a kid. My dad had a Mysteries of the Unexplained big coffee table book that had Sasquatch and weird stuff in there. He also had a sporting goods store, and so sometime in the 80s, one of the radio announcers here in Enid stopped in the store and told him that he was coming back from Stillwater, and at the Billings exit, he saw something that was eating roadkill, and it stood up and ran off on 2 legs. And it was hairy, and nobody was thinking about Sasquatch back then because that's Washington State or something, And we'd moved our shop up to Wyoming, and this guy came in that was, real straight shooter type of guy. Who one of these guys who, we say grace, we say ma'am. If you don't like that, we don't give a damn type of guy. And he was talking about how he did road construction up in Washington, and he saw a big male throw a loader tire down at their man camp, and saw 2 of them run around, from under a bridge, and then like Brian, I had stuff happen to me that I didn't really thread together until later. I was hunting elk up at South Pass in Wyoming, and I'd went to this little draw, and I'd sat down in the draw, and I'd sat there for 3 hours, and I was like, man, this place is dead. There's no birds chirping, no nothing. It just felt weird. And when I got up, I heard some rustling, and it was a big mass. I couldn't see completely, but What I did see was about as big, as wide as a Cadillac, and about 7, 8 foot tall, just in the through the brush, and it kind of just turned and walked away. And so I went down to my cousins. And I'm like, oh, you guys, you wouldn't believe the moose that I saw. And I was with my cousins. And they're like, oh, you okay? Moose don't get that big. I'm like, I'm serious, But it wasn't until later that it was, I think, about 4 or 5 years ago. I was just YouTubing Wyoming Sasquatch, and it talked about in that area, and I thought, oh, there's the Shoshone's talk about this big black one, And I was like, well, I can't definitively say that I saw that, but I don't think a moose is going to stand there and watch you for 3 hours, and then the whole, everything going dead scenario and all that stuff. But that's kind of, I've had a lot of different things leading up to it in my life, and a lot of things that it would take me a really long time to explain it all. So
we have an hour, so if you want to get the cliff notes, that's a phenomenal experience that you had. I can't even imagine how mind-blowing that was. Just, I think I would have been rendered speechless by that experience.
Yeah, I didn't have the fear that people say they have, but that feeling of things were dead and not hearing stuff, I definitely had that happen.
Did you smell anything or anything
Nope.
like that?
No, no, that was.
And aside from it feeling dead, you didn't feel like I need to get the heck out of here?
No, and I don't know. And we've all talked about this, about, do they always smell like that? Do they just do it when they're in a scenario? Do they have a, like there's an antelope called a kudu, and they've got these glands that secrete this stinky stuff that acts as repellent, and I kind of coined the phrase meta characteristics. Like Sasquatch has meta characteristics. Like they've got like padded feet like an elephant, and this kudu stuff like the glands, and their chest is thick like a wombat butt, and all these things you hear, and it's like I've been on the fence for a long time. It's like, are they a Nephilim? Are they a what's the other one, Brian? Well, yeah. Anyways, it's like, well, I don't know, but now I've had some recent events happen that has kind of led me more to believe that they're offspring / created by that whole genre of fallen angels. They're not direct descendants, but they're something thereof, if that's not too weird.
No, so my show, you guys know me, my show's a safe space for you to believe what you believe, and who am I to tell you that your experiences aren't valid, right? So are you talking like Book of Enoch type of situation?
Oh yeah, it all ties together.
Okay. All right. So what's your total theory? Like, what are you leaning towards at this time? Because we know that changes, right? Brian can tell you my theories have changed.
Well,
in the past week.
Yeah, I don't want to hog up all the airtime here, but I got into this really studying theology really hard, and since 2013, 2012, I put in hours and hours. I spend 2-3 hours a day listening to podcasts over different theological subjects and trying to figure out, what's going on with all this. And so, the Bible is talking about the thread, the scarlet thread of humans, and humans were created to inhabit sacred space, and this Eden, that was created, and that's what it's talking about. It's not the Bible's not talking about other hominids or other beings that were, made outside the garden or made not to, what I mean. So that was a kind of a hurdle for me to get over. It's like, well, this isn't talking about it, but the Genesis 6, and there's little pop marks all through the Bible talking about the stuff. So what I lean towards now is that they're some kind of a Neanderthal that that took the mark, nothing new under the sun, type of deal. I think we had a lot of technology in the past that we're not aware of or we've forgotten. Was it Graham Hancock says that we're a species with amnesia, and so I think they had some genetic manipulation going on back. They were tricked into doing something, I don't know why they have to hide from us all the time, but
have you met us? I'd hide too. I'm just saying. It seems like no matter what they are, I think we can all agree that they're very sentient and they're very intelligent creatures. And if they're intelligent enough to stay the heck away from us, I'd say they're got some high IQs. We're good survival sense. Well, thank you for sharing that with me, Jeff. I appreciate your views and opinions, and I am excited to see where you continue to take that and what evidence you find to support that. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, it is interesting.
All right, Brian, talk to me. What do you think they are?
Thoughts? Oh
yeah, tell me your thoughts. What's in that head of yours?
I'm kind of leaning more towards I think there's some type of relic hominoid, from leftover days, maybe something that evolved alongside us. I'm pretty sure that the reason why they stay away from us is because, we just kill everything, but we don't get along with other species, I guess you could say. I do believe that there is Nephilim DNA in them. I believe that everything has Nephilim DNA in it. I think we have Nephilim DNA in us. We were the original targets of the seed war. They wanted to destroy the line of Adam. But I question whether or not that really is it a big impact on what we're dealing with today? I mean, we're like 1,000 generations down the way, and I think a lot of that stuff's watered down. I don't think there's any, I don't think there's any way to know, how much DNA that we would have from Nephilim in us. There's no 23andMe Nephilim edition thing that you can take. The Nephilim DNA could be like in us and be part of who we are. I mean, we think that we're like these thoroughbreds or something, but personally I think we're kind of mutts. As we progress, we find out that we've got Neanderthal DNA in us, and some subgroups of humans have the Denisovan DNA in them. I think that what we are is we're a hodgepodge of a lot of different species that kind of, blended over the years. And I'm with Jeff. I think that, there were, these civilizations that were highly advanced before us, and there's no telling what kind of genetic manipulation that they were doing, before the flood. So, but, I kind of lean towards the relic hominoid, maybe something around similar to a paranthropus or something. But that's just me. I don't know, Coleman. What do you think? I mean,
That's what I was
stuff.
going to ask. Coleman, you're newer, so you have a fresh perspective on this.
It's probably not as interesting as Brian or Jess, but I don't know. I've gone down all the rabbit holes once or twice, and are they relic hominids, or are they Nephilim or whatever? And I just don't know. Ultimately, I know that's vague, obviously, and boring, but I I definitely see stuff on both ends where I've like I think you said some, Lauren, about like kind of change your mind a lot. I'm kind of on the same boat. Like I'm just constantly going back and forth because I don't know, like you see some and you read about like eyewitness reports that sound very much like a biological animal, with like very like animalistic behavior that you would expect to see from something like that. But then you hear and read about other reports where it's like just weird stuff, if you want to call it the woo or whatever. And I just think I do think that they're flesh and blood. I think that they're physical, but that doesn't contradict the idea as well that there could be something more. That's kind of how I refer to it. I just think there's something more to them. I don't know what that is, but I don't think that they're just necessarily I don't know, just another species or something like that. I think that there's more to it, and I think they have a very high level of intelligence, and I think they can do things, obviously, that other things in our, I don't know, our existence can't necessarily do, things that we can't do for sure, obviously. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing. So on that note, right, as he said, they can do things that we can't. And we as much as I've been raised in the flesh and blood community, right? It's been my whole life. It's been, they're just animals. They're just creatures. They just this. And it's like the whole Bigfoot phenomena itself. The reason that we believe Bigfoot exists, besides the fact that a lot of you have seen them, is because of the amount of reports of sightings and experiences, right? It's not just the Patty film, it's all of the encounters. So the same thing with the woo side is you can't ignore all these people having these experiences. And so obviously we kind of have to travel down these different rabbit holes to see if they fit. And Nephilim having that DNA definitely would explain some of their abilities. If you wanted to just stay with flesh and blood, you could go with, man. To me, humans, we kind of have lost a lot of our skills over the years. I think we use like 10% of our brain, and our phones. Like I probably could count on all 10 fingers and all 10 toes the amount of people that can't start a fire, can't change a tire. I mean, we've lost a lot of our primitive skills, a lot of our survival skills. And then who's to say that we didn't have other intelligence before we started civilizing, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think that all lines of investigation should be open at all times. I think that if you just put a pin in it right here, then you have tunnel vision, and we're probably not going to solve this phenomena. So good on you guys for kind of branching out, going into that. I appreciate your insight to that very much. What do you guys think of the woo situation? I say woo. What do you think of them having extra abilities that we don't have?
Well, I guess it would be very convenient to not believe in the woo. And that's how I started out. And I hung on to my flesh and blood, no woo thing for as long as I could. But here recently, especially within the last year, we've had some weird stuff happen that I can't explain. And it's thrown me out of my comfort zone, We went down, I'll tell the story. Coleman and I went down to southeastern Oklahoma just to interview a couple of guys that had a Bigfoot encounter. And we went down there, and we went down and we did the interview. We weren't even that far in the woods. I mean, we walked a half a mile from our vehicles to get to it. And I just I was like, I'll just take my little 380 because I don't go anywhere unarmed. But I stuck my little pocket pistol in my pocket, and we went down there and did the interview, and we walked back, and the guys were like, "Hey, you want us to show you where that footprint was?" We almost didn't even go down that way, and so we were like, "Sure," So we walked down there, and on the way back, we had something growl at us like 5 times, very loud, very strong, scary as hell, and from all intents and purposes, it sounded like it was coming from about, I don't know, like 25 yards off to our left, right in front of us, right off the road. Scared the crap out of me, I'll be honest with you. And by the time we got our wits together and started recording and stuff, it was almost done, Yeah, I've got 2 guns. That's my city gun. And the 10 millimeter is kind of heavy. So, but it's not as heavy as Eric's Desert Eagle. So, but I'm glad I don't carry that thing. But anyway, we, I didn't know what it was, but whatever it was, it sounded like it was like we should have been able to take a rock and just throw a rock at it, but there was nothing there. And what we ended up coming up with is, there was something there, but it was invisible. That's the best. I think whatever it was I think it was cloaked. And, it scared all 5 of us. There were 5 of us there. And one of them, he was a pure skeptic. And he was like, I don't know what to make of that. But we all 5 of us agreed that it sounded like it was right there. We should have been able to see it. There was nothing there. We searched the area. We walked around in the swamp. Couldn't find any tracks or any prints or nothing. I think we did our due diligence, but I think whatever it was cloaked. And I don't know. You might ask Coleman. He was there. That's my best guess.
Yeah, I remember that happening, and I remember just being really confused. When we first heard it, I thought it was I caught like the tail end of like the first growl, and I was like, I thought maybe it was a chainsaw or something. And then we kept hearing it. It's just this. It was my first time hearing something like that, and it was pretty similar to what a lot of the witnesses, described, like the deep, guttural, just loud growl that sounded like it should be right there. And we're looking around, we're not seeing anything, and so we're all confused, like what is going on? And there was kind of a berm up ahead in front of us, and so we thought, well, maybe it's behind that berm. And Brian walked up there. I walked all through. The whole area was kind of pretty wet, but there was tons of like debris on the ground, and we didn't hear any splashing of anything running off or anything like that. Like it should have made some type of noise. And I walked all through there. I didn't see anything. I didn't hear anything else, and it's definitely up there with like some of the weirdest stuff we've had. But like Brian was saying, over the past year, we've been getting a lot of weird stuff. So it's really odd for sure.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Brian recently, and I just I told him I've been branching more and more into more of the energy theory. We're all made of energy, and I just wonder if you have to wonder if they're less flesh and blood like we want them to be, and more they have an ability to manipulate energy and do what they will with that, whether that's cloak or open a portal or infrasound or whatever they feel that they need to do.
It's easy. It's an easier concept to grasp if you can realize and discover for yourself that the afterlife, heaven or whatever, is the real reality. And, one of the things that I like to look into is near-death experiences, and I got Coleman on here. I want to thank you, Coleman, because he introduced me to Swedenborg, and I've been digesting a lot of that stuff lately. And so, even before the Swedenborg, a lot of these teachers that I've explored over the years will talk about maybe their experience or whatever, and they and like these near-death experiences, they say where they go is more real than here, but we don't have words. They can't describe it because we don't have the words for it. And so, biblically, when people would encounter an angel, they dropped to their knees, and then fear not. The angels say, "Fear not." What's going on there? There's a lot of good scientific studies, about if you inhabit or enjoy more dimensions than our own, that when you come into this dimension, you've got to burn off plasma or something, and so is this the orbs we're seeing? Are they coming in, and burning that off, or somehow, and it's the fear thing, are they, why are they blurry on camera? Well, maybe they just vibrate different. Maybe they're on a different frequency. Maybe they're made up of the frequency is different, and that, just like the angels, that's where that fear comes from. It's a weird frequency that does something to us. So.
No, definitely. I've been I've been listening to different podcasts in my hiatus. This is what I was doing, everybody. I was healing and listening to weird podcasts. And going on adventures and doing fun things. If you follow me on social media, we are always on the road doing the things. But in those weird podcasts, squirrel, I started listening to the Y-Files, which I don't know how I've missed that for my entire life, but I did. And he was talking about time slipping. And whenever they were doing Kasarov's mirror, I believe, I may have butchered that. It's fine. Whenever they walked into the chamber with the device, they would get this overwhelming feeling of doom and dread and fear, and like they needed to leave immediately. And it was so bad it would make them nauseous. And I'm sitting here looking at this, and I think I was like driving to Little Rock while I was listening to this, and I just, holy mind blown, Batman. I know that feeling. That's infrasound. And the scientists said, hey, just sit there through it and it'll fade. And so they sat there, and about an hour later, it started to fade. And when it started to fade, they were looking at the concave mirror, and it started becoming a picture. And then all of a sudden he slipped time. And I was like, that's infrasound. What if they're time slipping? And so, of course, I have no idea. But
did Brian tell you his time slippage story yet?
He did not.
Your time slipping story.
But here we are on this platform, and I'm inviting you to share.
Go ahead, bro.
Well, so Jeff and I went out to this place called Jefferson Park, and Jefferson Park is like this little bitty, tiny, abandoned city park from like a ghost town that doesn't hardly even exist anymore. And it's still public property. I mean, anybody can go out there, but there's all kinds of rumors about this place, that it's haunted. People have seen Bigfoot out there. There's all kinds of weird stuff. And we went out there one time, and I think it was me and Jeff and Coleman. And we went out there and we went and hiked around this trail because it's not a very big place. And the plan was we was going to hike it during the day, and then we were going to come back later and hike it at night. So we hiked it during the day, and then we come back at night, and right there on the side of the trail is this red dodgeball, right? You remember that? And so I reached down there and I pick it up, and the thing had not been there very long at all. I mean, there wasn't even any of the leaflet or anything stuck to the bottom. It was a brand new dodgeball. And I was like, well, that's really weird. And so I started carrying it around, and till Jeff weirded me out. He said something about, well, if that's a gift, you think that's a gift from the little people, or are we supposed to leave it here? Are we supposed to take it? Is that a bad mojo to take it? And I'm like, I mean, he got in my head, and I was like, I don't know. He's like, I wanted to keep the dodgeball, take it home. I'm going to throw it at somebody. Well, so we ended up hiding it, but that was really weird because we had walked that trail just a little while before, and there was nothing there. And we would have seen a bright red dodgeball laying there right beside the trail. And but anyway, Jeff and I came back later, and we were going to go walk around at night and stuff in this one particular area that we hadn't really been to. And we got out there and we walked down the railroad tracks. And the weirdest thing about this story is it's literally all on video. And I know that a lot of people would probably say, "Oh, you edited it," or "you." I give you my word. What you see in the video that we posted is 100% legit. I didn't mess with anything. I wish I messed with something because this was like our first super woo experience, I think. And well, anyway, we take off and we're hiking down the railroad tracks, and the plan is we're going to go down through the woods, and we're going to come out on this road that goes by the creek, and then we're going to walk back, and we got in
yards.
there. Well, I think it's more like maybe 100, but it's something like that. Yeah. I don't think we made it 50 yards. We made it 50 yards into the woods, and we got lost, like turned around, both of us. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm not like, Kit Carson or nothing, but we're pretty good in the woods at night. We're pretty good in the woods. We don't get lost.
I believe
I believe you. I can count on, this finger. I don't get lost that often. Anyway, Jeff is like, there's another set of railroad tracks up here. And I was like, no, there's not. And he's like, yeah, there is. I'm like, was it an old set or something that's all over? No, it's a brand new set. And I'm sitting here thinking, there's only one set of railroad tracks. I got up there and I started looking around, and I realized that somehow we'd been following the moon. The moon was off in the east, and somehow we got turned around and we got right back where we started. And all of a sudden I realized that something didn't feel right. And I asked Jeff, I was like, do you feel okay? And he was like, man, I don't know. I feel weird. And because I felt like weird in my stomach, and it was kind of like I drank way too much cough syrup or something and was maybe a little bit nauseated or something. And anyway, I don't know how we knew this, but we knew that something had happened. And so we started checking our watches and stuff. And we realized that even though we were recording the whole time we were in there, we missed 8 minutes. We had 8 minutes that were missing. And you can kind of see in the video how we calculated it. We went off of Jeff's text message because he was like, hold on, let me send this text message before we go in. And well, anyway, neither one of us wanted to stay there after this. We felt weirded out. I felt, I don't know, upset. And so we walked back to the car. Jeff, how would you describe the feeling? I mean, it's been a while, but
yeah. Well, I think you missed something, and what the nail in the coffin of the thing is that he was talking to his wife. Tell him about the tracking thing.
Yeah. So I was in there, and we went home and got up the next morning, sitting around drinking coffee. My wife finally gets up, and I'm telling her about it because normally I don't talk to my wife about this stuff too much because, she thinks I'm a little crazy. And, but anyway, she's like, well, what does your Life 360 tracking app say? And I was like, Well, that's interesting. So I pulled it up, and there was a gap in the tracking app. It literally shows us getting out of the car, walking over to the railroad tracks, walking down the railroad tracks, and then it disappears. And there's like a vacant time frame.
8 minutes.
And then it shows us pinging at a house like a mile away somehow. Like we just jumped from one place to another. And then it didn't show us, it showed us driving back. So there was actually a gap in this Life 360, and we have excellent reception out there. I mean,
and it was exactly because we did figure it out. We were like looking at my text and what time, and we you know, it's like, what's this? You know, we came up with 8 minutes of time, and then when he checked his 360 app, his wife showed us like 8 minutes exactly. You know, and that was pretty weird. But the feeling I got was, you know, like if you go to a ride, carnival ride or something, you get off and you just kind of feel a little car sick, not too bad, you know, just kind of off. That's kind of how I felt. But it was weird because we didn't go down, but we went and was walking straight, and you know, we didn't get in there very far. And next thing you know, there's the railroad tracks again. It's like we just was completely turned around, and once when we realized where it was at, that's when the kind of car sickness hit me. Like, what? You know,
I know what happened.
Weird.
It was aliens. 1000% y'all were probed. 1000%.
Keeps itching back here.
I hate to be the one to tell y'all.
Well, yeah, you know, you're probably right. That probably was probing. Brian's been back there 2 or 3 times since then.
I keep going back.
I mean, that tracks. That tracks.
Well, you go where the action is, boys and girls.
Oh my god, no, that is crazy though. Because Life 360, it glitches sometimes, but there's a lot of supporting evidence in there aside from Life 360. So that's kind of weird. I would have gone and checked out that house to see kind of like what weirdness might have been going on over there, because it might have been where the spaceship was. I don't know.
We've drove by it. I mean, it's just a regular old farmhouse. I don't know what the deal was. I think I took a snapshot of my Life 360 report and put it in the video. It was just odd, and it was really odd that it just so happened to glitch out right then. I mean, I don't think it was a coincidence, and I'm getting to the point where I don't believe that there's any coincidence. I just think we just don't understand what's really going on.
I think that's 100% it. I think it makes sense if we knew what was this. That's the dumbest thing I've probably ever almost said. But if we knew what was going on, it would make sense. But
Let's scare the hell out of us.
Exactly. I think we wouldn't survive it. Our little puny human brains can barely comprehend Bigfoot as just a creature, a flesh and blood creature, much less something that has the ability to manipulate time or manipulate energy in a way that we can't control. I think that's what it comes down to as mankind. We're all about control, and anything having that kind of power takes our control away, and we just can't take it. There was a couple questions up here I wanted to get to real quick. Frankie Too Sweet, thank you for being here, Frankie. Said, so I'm on the fence, still more skeptical than believing, but my question is this. Which species or types of Bigfoot are more substantial to being seen than others who are more elusive? So do you guys have any theories on maybe which species or types of Bigfoot would be more elusive than others?
Actually, I think Jeff's Nephilim theory offers one option to that. And that, to me, that's one of the strengths of the Nephilim theory is that some of them are, you know, more higher levels of thoroughbred, and that maybe, you know, as they get watered down, maybe they start losing some of that, kind of the way humans have lost a lot of their natural abilities, And so that's one of the reasons why I always try to keep an open mind when it comes to the Nephilim thing. Because I think that's one of the strengths of the arguments is some of them seem to be, like borderline dumb and do dumb stuff, like standing right beside the road or, and but at the same time, some of them appear to have these abilities, and so I don't know. Maybe it has to do with age, wisdom, experience. Maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't know why some of them seem to be like on top of everything, and then others they get caught eating out of our dumpsters. I mean, I can't explain. I can't explain that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, no, this is your Lauren. This is your T-shirt right here. It's Brian's always saying Nephilim don't eat out of our dumpsters, and I agree with that. They were created. The first angel that the first ones, right? The first generation of Nephilim, and maybe 2 or 3 generations. But then after that, everything decays or gets watered down or whatever. And now the word I was looking for earlier was chimera. For a long time I was like, no, they're quit calling them Nephilim. They're not Nephilim. They're chimera. They got all these meta characteristics. They're all this stuff, and whatever. But I think they're both now. More, they're not. They're just they've been genetically modified, and their ancestors have, and then some of them are still in those programs, and some of them have escaped these programs, and that's the whole other hour story. But they're a conglomeration of different things. It's like they're made to be. Why do we sunburn? Why does my neck hurt real bad just from working? Why are we sick? Why is our it's like we're not made for this planet somehow. It's like we struggle to survive on this planet, and Sasquatch, it's like they can go anywhere. Basically, they can be in any environment, and I don't get too much in the UFO stuff because, not that I don't believe it, but for me it's a distraction from my journey. But I've heard some things of, well, they like to, these beings, they're friends with the Sasquatch people because they're so hardy, and they can take them through wormholes and other civilizations and other planets, and they don't bitch and moan like a human would or something,
What? Humans? Never.
Coleman complains every time they take him.
Apparently you don't, because you keep going back for more. So
yeah. I just want can we get this on camera? I'm never gonna let that down. He's gonna hold that against me for a long time now.
I'm not doing anything this weekend. You guys want to go to Jefferson Park?
Wait, can I come listen?
Careful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Brian's just, if y'all don't know, just Brian's a special dude. He actually gave me some advice recently when I was camping alone, and ended up being some really great advice for my research. So I know he looks all unassuming over there, but he's actually a pretty good little Yoda. So look at that.
Well, people, I want everybody to know, and I'm not trying to brag on him or anything, but he put so much time into this, and not, it's not only the videos, and then yeah, you know, I personally, I live in the same town as him, so we go eat lunch and stuff every once in a while. And I'll go to his work space, and he's like doing these whole new thing with kids, and it's like, wow, mind blowing, the things he has to do. And then he's doing the Sasquatch stuff, and then he's going through audio files like hours and hours. I was like, I don't know how he does it, you know. So, you know, and this just some of the things that he's done and does do, it's like he was meant to be a YouTube content video creator for Sasquatch. I mean, it's just like everything's right at his disposal. He's got a good work ethic. He's very intelligent, you know, almost too smart sometimes, you know.
It's whatever the aliens put back there. That's why.
Yeah, they souped up my brain. No, I do have a superpower that a lot of people don't have, and that's some time. I do have time. And most people are working, you know, all the time. And, you know, I'm a teacher. So, yeah, I get a lot of time off. I get a lot of holidays and stuff like that. Up until this summer, you know, I've had like every summer off, and I was able to do a whole lot of stuff online. And so that has been my superpower. I've been able to do more. And having a little bit of ADHD helps too, because, you know, when you're a guy and you have ADHD, you know, you hyper focus on things, and, you know, it's like I'm always thinking about that, and, you know, it's like I got a great idea. I've got another great idea. I don't think I've actually shown you guys. For the next time we go out, I developed a new type of sighting apparatus that'll help us in the woods to be able to see these things. Let me show you. They will not be able to escape us now. Can you guys see that?
Oh my God.
As long as you're wearing this. You see that? I've got the red
circle.
Yeah. So with these on, you know, as soon as we look in that direction, we will see them immediately. And this is going to take us to the next level. I mean,
the red circle glasses. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, guys. I mean, this is where it's at. I mean, you've got it. This is the solution. I don't know, but I wouldn't advise wearing them in your office because it kind of stinks. But next time we go to Jefferson Park, man, that's where we're going. So
you might see something you don't want to see there.
I know. I've got pairs for all of you. Mine are prescriptions, so I have, you know.
I just want you to know Coleman was fighting for his life just now when you popped those up. Fighting for his life. Oh my God.
Pretty soon I'm going to be selling these on the page, man.
You're going to make so much money.
Yeah, you had me going there for a sec. I thought you were actually about to like show something cool, and then you put those on. I'm like, oh,
did I keep you straight face?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all I can do to keep up with the audio.
Goodness, that was. He had me going too. I was like, man, what device has he devised? This is going to be amazing.
Technology.
Yeah. We had discussed that at the Kaimichi Bigfoot conference, Kaimichi Mountain Bigfoot conference. He said, man, we just need glasses with red circles, and oh, that was great. Actually, I think in certain Bigfoot groups, those would sell really well. So I'm just saying, I think you're onto something that might fund y'all's next project and y'all's next expedition. Yeah. So just saying.
It'll either make me money, or I'll get crucified over it.
Don't know.
Some people live and die by this circle, so I don't know. But you know, with AI and everything else that's coming up, it's getting to the point where people send me their pictures, and I just flat out tell them, you know, since 2020, pictures don't really mean anything anymore, and you know, it's that's part of the reason why I've become more interested in audio, is because, you know, audio is the best. You know,
that's what made this shirt.
Just saying
Oh, you better turn that shirt inside out so they can read
it. your screen's mirrored, so those of us with natural
say
skills.
No to pareidolia.
Yeah, say no to
pareidolia.
Just
1,000%.
Just say no to pareidolia.
1,000%.
And it's not that I'm poo-pooing it or anything. I just don't think I don't think it doesn't do anything. And my opinion is say you've got somebody and I hate to say this, credible, like, a judge or somebody with stature, right? They say they have an experience and they see something, and they're like, well, I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna go try to research, find it. And so they start coming across all these pareidolia pics, and they're like, well, these people are nuts. I don't want any part of it. I'm not gonna share. You know what? I think pareidolia is a roadblock. Don't do it.
Or even worse, they read the comments on all that stuff, and then they're like, "Oh no!"
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's rough out there. I'm gonna be honest. It took me a little bit to come back on to Night Colors off hiatus because just about every time I get ready to come back, I would make the mistake of going on social media and seeing the Red Circle Mafia out there just. Everything is Bigfoot, AI pictures of Bigfoot. Hey, I had this sighting and this was what I saw. And I'm like, it was exhausting down to my soul. So it's rough. It's rough out there, everybody. So, all right. So I think I had one more question. First, going to pop that up. Thank you, Hillary. I'm so happy Hillary has joined my party. I'm so happy. I got some new people in the chat, some fresh blood. Very excited about that. And please do what Hillary says because she says it. All right, so the last question is, if I may, it would seem that southern Bigfoot are slightly more aggressive than northern types. Is that true or no? What have you guys heard in your witness?
Well, I tell you what, go work out in the heat all day and see how grumpy you are.
Add humidity and mosquitoes. You will be downright homicidal.
Think of the chigger situation that they deal with, right? I don't know, Coleman. What do you think?
I've heard that a lot. I've heard a lot of people say that they're that the more southern populations of whatever are more aggressive than like Pacific Northwest, which would make sense because if Pacific Northwest is more so like their prime habitat, wet, lots of rain, and they're down here in the South where it's hot as hell and it's dry and all this stuff, They're also kind of described a little bit differently from what I've heard. So like, Brian, or Jeff, you may know more on this. I've kind of heard, generally speaking, the ones up in Pacific Northwest or whatever are more generally considered to be bigger, larger, because like I said, they're in that more prime habitat. Whereas like in the South or like Texas, especially, you'll hear more like tall basketball player kind of build when it comes to some sightings. So if that's true, I would want to research that more and actually look at the reports and see if that's true, because I haven't done enough research on that to say yes, that's a consistent kind of theme or whatever. But from what I've heard other researchers talk about, that's kind of the sort of maybe the explanation behind that. It's just they're just kind of pissed off, I guess. They're not really in the prime habitat, so to speak. But again, I would have to research and verify that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah. I didn't know where you were going with that for a minute. I was like, are you about to say that southern Bigfoot have little man syndrome? They're just...
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know. It's probably a combination of like the habitat situation, but I think that a lot of the Bigfoot up there, they have a lot more of the national forest and stuff than they have down here. We have patches of natural forest, and our national forests are huge. Mm-hmm. But when you sit down and you look at it, we've also got towns all spotted through there, and you get down into North Texas and southeastern Oklahoma. There's a lot of people that live there. And so I would say that maybe they're more aggressive here because they're in closer proximity to that. it could be an education thing as well. I mean, the people up in the Pacific Northwest have been, educated in the ways that Sasquatch are for a lot longer. They've been talking openly about it for, 50 plus years. And I would say that Oklahoma just came to terms with the fact that we have Sasquatch here as a whole, like 20 years ago. And a lot of people think that them growling or bluff charging or something like that is aggressive behavior. But the truth is, if they wanted a piece of your butt, they'd have it. And the fact that you walked away, just goes to show that they weren't aggressive. I've got a lot of reports in my case files about, that people getting growled at or something like that. But I don't really consider that to be aggressive. They'll throw a rock, but they hardly ever hit you. They could bounce one right off your head if they wanted to. I've only heard a few stories where they actually hit somebody with it. I don't know.
Well,
I would say
like
they're more aggressive.
We're like a snake. I mean, if you or I are out in the wilderness and we see a snake, chances are we're just gonna kind of just go around it. Could we kill it? Yeah, we probably could, but it's better just to leave it alone.
Yeah, there's a price to be paid.
So collectively, where do you guys want to go with your research? What are you guys focusing on? Big projects coming up?
Okay, so we are currently over the past, since late last year, we've been working on a new documentary. We started production late last year. It's kind of one of the stories about the growling situation we were talking about, or Brian was talking about when we were filming the interview. That was for the documentary when we were down there and had experienced that. So we've been focused on that. So that's the big thing is focusing on filming, and we've wrapped filming actually as of, I don't know, a couple months ago. So when we finished filming, and I've been diligently editing for a while now, and it's been really interesting. And just recently, I can't go into detail on it, so you have to wait and see all that. But even during editing, we're finding stuff during the editing process, and it's just been a really interesting thing, to put it lightly. And we've a lot of views and stuff, so to speak, have been challenged. Kind of what we've been talking about over the course of this whole thing is, being more open to the woo. I don't really like that word, but that's just kind of the term for it, I guess. But the unexplained, weird, if you want to call it, paranormal, supernatural, whatever stuff when it comes to this field is kind of what's been going on with this a little bit. And we had no intention for that really, but that's just what we've kind of been getting. So there's a little sneak peek, I guess, or a teaser there, but it's almost done. I've got a good chunk of it edited. I'm probably about 80% done with the editing process. Got a little bit more to go through, but hopefully that should be out soon. But that's been the main big project we've been working on.
Awesome. I am really excited to see it. Can't wait. And I like your term of the supernatural or paranormal, like the less normal. I'd say less Bigfoot community acceptable term.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whoever thought of that word, man? I don't coin.
The Woonatics. That I heard that recently. I don't know how I missed that one, but that came out. I was like, the wounded. That was, you know what? Very nice. I'll take it. All right, guys. Well, do you have anything else you want to say? Where can everybody find you? I've been popping up y'all stuff, but where would you like people to go to look for you?
Well, we're on Facebook under Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. I think I even throw something up on Instagram every once in a while. We're on LinkedIn, and we're on X. So, yes, I'm on LinkedIn. So
I missed that in my little thing. I apologize. Probably because you didn't tell me.
I don't normally tell people. So, but yeah, we try to have like a social media presence so that people can find us easier. Although I'm not what you would call like a super duper TikToker, and the Instagram thing still eludes me. I don't know, what in the world Instagram's for, and I refuse to go on Snapchat. I just can't get over its original purpose and me being a part of it. It's like, yeah. So all these kids nowadays, I try to tell them where Snapchat got its start, and they're like, "No, for real." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it's for," and they don't believe me. But no, we try to get out and do our own field investigations. We're trying to find our own answers, each and every one of us, and my what I want to get out of it's different than what the other guys want. And we all are seeking our own truths in our own way, and we're just pretty fortunate that it all aligns and we can work with each other. We don't have to believe the same things or want the same things necessarily for it to all work out and work together. And when we go out, we're lucky if there's more than 3 of us that can make it to any one time. I mean, it's kind of tough. Well, I don't think we've ever had all 5 of us together out in the woods at one time, have we? No. Somebody's always missing. But anyway, somebody's got to work, and it is where it is. So we kind of keep things we like to keep it small. We like to keep our group small because, we found out that the more people you add, the more personalities you get. And, you get people that, are butthurt because you went out without them. I mean, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to get mad at me because, we went camping or squatching without you, then you ain't going to make it very long with us. And, so it's, we consider ourselves to be a small group, and it makes us, more fluid, and being able to respond to stuff. And, so yeah, it's just, that's what we do. And we try to keep it simple.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Very good. I think it works. You guys have a good size group too, because if somebody can't make it, at least you'll always generally have one other person to make it with you. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, my wife don't let me go alone anymore. I told her too many stories, and now she's like, "Who's going with you?" I'm like,
The only downside is that I don't care how many podcasts you listen to or whatever, but none of them will say, yeah, there's 3 or 4 of us out, and we did wood knocks and did some yelps, and we called that thing right up to us. It's so less is better. You start getting too many people, it's just then it becomes just a camping trip.
Yeah, and the more people you get, the less action you usually have.
Yeah.
So,
well, thank you guys so much for coming on tonight. You guys are amazing. I'm really excited to watch the documentary, and I'm really excited to hear about y'all's research, because I've talked to Brian about, I don't know what, like 30 times. That has never been shared with me, the direction of y'all's research. So I think that's phenomenal, and I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on. Say goodbye to everyone, and then just hang out for a minute for me.
Bye.
Peace.
All right. All right. Thank you all for tuning into the show. Drop a comment below and let me know who you want to see next on Nightcaller's Bigfoot Radio. And as always, stay safe, be kind, and I'll see y'all next time.